Hello, this is Movie Storm, and today we'll tell you about a short film where a man gets trapped in a phone booth at the beginning of a zombie apocalypse. At night, a man is running away from someone in the city alleys. As he turns the corner, he encounters a person making strange noises. Not knowing what to do, he looks around and notices a phone booth, where he decides to hide. Inside, he tries to close the door, but it jams, and only at the last moment, he manages to close it, keeping the zombies from reaching him. The zombie takes a step back, and the man asks the strange person what they want from him. The strange person takes money out of his pocket, and throws it at the zombie, thinking that's what they are after. But the zombie doesn't react, and continues to stare at the man. And the man decides to call the police, thinking it's the best way out. He turns around to pick up the receiver, and sees a girl covered in blood leaning against the phone booth, making strange sounds. In shock, he picks up the receiver and calls the police, but an answering machine tells him that due to a high volume of calls, the waiting time to connect with an officer is about 45 minutes. He hangs up, and realizes the situation is very bad for him. Looking at the zombie girl, he dials his friend's number, who is at home watching TV. His friend answers, and the man in the phone booth, whose name is Patrick, explains that he is in a dangerous situation. Patrick tells his friend that he is in a phone booth, surrounded by strange people who want to attack him. He believes they might be under the influence of something. His friend asks what the eyes of the people surrounding him look like. Patrick answers that their eyes are completely white. So Patrick asks his friend to come and pick him up from the phone booth. At that moment, the zombie girl sneaks up behind him, and while Patrick is explaining the address of the phone booth, the zombie girl attacks him, and the call disconnects with strange sounds. More zombies start approaching the phone booth. The man picks up the receiver again, throws a few coins, and dials someone else's number. He calls Sophia, but Mark answers the call. He calmly watches as some guy devours Sophia. The zombie turns around, and the man tells Patrick that he'll be back in a minute, and hangs up. Patrick takes off his jacket, and once again calls the police station, where the answering machine says that the estimated wait time to speak to an operator is 2 hours. Patrick doesn't lose hope, and dials someone's number again. A woman answers the phone, who turns out to be his mother. She starts scolding him for not calling her for a long time, and suddenly deciding to call in the middle of the night. Gradually, she calms down and asks when he will come visit her, to which Patrick responds that he's facing significant problems. His mother tells him that something terrible is happening in the city. People are running in the streets and shouting loudly. She thinks they might be drug addicts, and at that moment, a zombie slowly walks in the background. She says that one of the people looked into her window, and his eyes were very frightening. The woman says that she simply closed the blinds, and now everything is fine. Patrick asks if she locked the door, but she answers no, as his friend Simon is supposed to come over. At this moment, Patrick loses control, and screams at the zombies to leave him alone. The zombies step back from the phone booth, but not for long. After a couple of seconds, they attack again. And the woman becomes angry, thinking that Patrick was yelling at her. She inquires if he had any alcohol today, but Patrick can't answer anymore, as the zombies finally reach him and attack. The next morning, a police car arrives, and an officer steps out, and approaches the phone booth. The police officer backs away in fear. He also sees that he has lost his gun. The policeman lifts the phone receiver, which has a part of a human hand hanging from it. He calls the police, but the automated response says that due to technical reasons, nobody can answer his call. The police officer finds himself in the same situation, surrounded by zombies and in a hopeless position, with no one able to help him. And with this scene, the short film comes to an end. We are very curious to know how you evaluate this short film. Write to us about it in the comments. See you very soon. Goodbye.